Hello guys, welcome back to my channel and enjoy this fanfic part 1. Now let's start the fanfic. Uzumaki Naruto was currently carrying the crazed cat Tora. He was severely starting to hate that stupid cat, and that was surprising. Naruto had a very short list of things that he hated. The only person who knew who Naruto hated was the Sandaime, and he refused to tell anyone. All Sarutobi said was that Naruto has good reasons to hate those whom he hates. The Sandaime was surprised that Naruto hated so few people with how much the village tortured and abused him, but it didn't surprise him that Naruto was beginning to hate Tora. Hell, the cat was thought to be Kyuubi's reincarnation by the villagers who didn't see Naruto as Kyuubi. Same thing with most of the ninja populace, minus a few Junin. Naruto and his squad, led by Hitaki Kakashi, was made up of Haruno Sakura, the Kunoichi of the Year, Uchiha Sasuke, the Rookie of the Year, and Uzumaki Naruto, the Dobe of the Year. The squad had been assigned to capture Tora for the 5th time, in the last 3 days. Naruto was carrying the cat through the doors, both eyes twitching at random, with tick marks appearing every 10 seconds. GG-san, if I have to capture this cat one more time I swear I am going to it. Not that anyone would mind, he said the last part under his breath as the daimyo's wife came running into the room and grabbed the cat. Oh my whittle Tora-chan, Mama is here, she began crushing the cat to her chest as it began turning a blue color. Naruto just stared at the cat in pity. Maybe I should the cat to put it out of its misery. I doubt that it would mind. Naruto shook that thought out of his head. He turned towards the Sandaime. He had an inexplicable urge to demand a higher ranked mission, but he felt like giving the Sandaime a break. Hell, the old man was more like family rather than Hokage. Naruto looked down for a second at the thought of family. He then began to grit his teeth and clench his fist, unaware of the others watching him. Sakura was looking at the Dobe with concerned curiosity. I have never seen him like this. What happened to the blonde Barker? She banished these thoughts and went back to staring at Sasuke, who was having similar thoughts. Sasuke stared at the clenched fist before it began to relax. What's with the Dobe? Doesn't matter. Sasuke then went back to brooding. Kakashi looked at his blonde student, with a barely noticeable amount of grief in his eyes. I failed you, sensei. Again, Kakashi went back to reading his book, hoping it would drown out his pain thoughts. Sarutobi was watching the blonde, thinking through what he was about to do. Team 7 had completed enough missions to qualify for AC rank, but he also had to deal with what he was about to do to Naruto. Maybe this isn't the best idea. Sarutobi began to think to the conversation he had last night. Flashback. Sarutobi Hiruzen was talking to a woman in the middle of a rainstorm. She had asked to meet him here for a favor. It was no problem to meet her there, the problem was the favor. Kushina, I know how badly you want this, but please, I beg you, Sarutobi. I just want to make it up to him for what I did. Sarutobi shook his head. Kushina, even if I am capable of doing this, it would have to be under strict terms. Even after those terms are met, there is no guarantee he will listen. Kushina lowered her head. I know, but I can still try. Please, I have never asked you for anything else. Please, just give me this one chance. Sarutobi looked at Kushina. She was absolutely pitiful. She was begging on her hands and knees in the middle of a rainstorm. She truly wanted this. Sarutobi grabbed his face and began to massage his temples. He was left with 2 choices. Do as she asks and possibly give her a chance to redeem herself, or say no and have her go into a depression. Most leaders would choose the first option in a heartbeat, if they had no knowledge of the past the two held. Sigh. Sarutobi looked at the begging redhead. I am getting too old for this shit. Very well, Kushina, but you know the terms you have to follow in our agreement. Kushina smiled a massive smile and nodded her head. Thank you, Sandaime-sama. She stood up and ran back to her home, preparing for the next day. Sarutobi took out his pipe and placed a small amount of tobacco in it before lighting it up with a kaiten jutsu. I wonder if I made the right decision, Naruto. Sarutobi turned around and began to walk towards the Hokage Tower, preparing for the next day. End flashback. Since then he has been dreading the moment he dropped the bomb on the young blonde, especially after what happened, but he couldn't pull out of the deal at the last minute. He had no other choice. A deal is a deal. Okay, Team 7, said team stopped what they were doing and turned towards the Hokage. I am happy to announce that you have completed the required amount of missions to qualify for AC rank. Yatta, finally AC rank, time for me to finally show my awesome skills. Sarutobi watched as Naruto cheered for his team finally going on AC rank. It was now or never. Actually, Naruto, you won't be going on the C rank. What? Are you serious, Ajiji? Naruto was seriously depressed that he couldn't go on AC rank with his team. Yeah, there is no way Naruto could ever be ready for AC rank, right, Sasuke-kun? Sakura looked towards her crush, who was actually smirking. HNN, the Dobe will probably be stuck with AD rank mission he can't screw up with. Sasuke continued to smirk at the blonde's misfortune. Kakashi was trying to calm Naruto down. Now Naruto, I'm sure that the Hokage has a good reason for pulling you from the mission. Kakashi was about to continue reasoning with the blonde. Yeah, he probably thinks the dead last can't handle anything above C rank. Team 7 turned around to see Inuzuka Kiba enter with his teammates and sensei. Hyuga Hinata, Aberrane Shino, and his sensei Yuhi Kurenai. Naruto snarled at the Inuzuka heir. Kakashi tried to get the blonde to calm down when the door opened to reveal Shikamaru and his squad. Ugh, this is so troublesome. Can't you two go one day without trying to rip each other's heads off? Naruto just did his usual face pout while Kiba just scoffed. Hinata tried to play peacemaker. Now Kiba-kun, we don't need TT to get everyone upset. Kiba just looked at his longtime friend and sighed. She always knew which buttons to push. Hell, they have been friends since before the academy, and he had tried numerous times to get her confidence up so she can ask out Naruto. Kiba looked at the blonde, wondering how he could possibly be so clueless. Hinata-san raises valid points. Kiba, should we attempt to further instigate our comrades? It would only heighten our current amounts of stress between our groups. Everyone just looked confused until Iruka, who was looking at Naruto's file, wondering why he couldn't do the C rank with his team. Shino means that we need to be kinder to our comrades, so they in turn will be kind to you. Everyone nodded at Iruka's explanation, not noticing the stress showing in Iruka's eyes. Why can't Naruto be allowed to do a simple C rank mission? Naruto may be the dead last, but there have been worse students to come out of the academy. What are you thinking, Sarutobi? His musings were cut off by the Sandaime speaking up. Actually, Naruto will have higher than AD rank mission. Everyone looked confused for a moment, but Naruto immediately was excited. Awesome, I get to do a C rank mission all by myself. Naruto began jumping around like an idiot, while everyone had different reactions going through their heads. Naruto-kun, I'm so happy for you. Man, lucky guy, and I have to deal with just D ranks with my pack. Oh well, at least I have good pack mates. Intriguing. Troublesome blonde. Munch, wow. That blonde barker, a C rank all his own. I have got to work harder to impress Sasuke-kun. The Dobe, no way, he shouldn't be getting a mission all his own. That Barker shouldn't get a mission all his own. Sasuke-kun should be getting that mission, Shanaro. Kakashi's student? No way. I would expect Sasuke but not Naruto. What are you up to, Dad? Naruto, something tells me things are going to go bad, and fast. Oh well. Back to Ika, Usuzira, you naughty girl. Aruka was looking at the Sandaime in shock. Sandaime-sama, I understand Naruto has decent skills, but I doubt he could complete a C rank on his own. Sarutobi turned his head towards Aruka. Naruto was specially selected by the client, and it's A rank. What? Sandaime-sama, Naruto is just a genin. I doubt he could handle a mission of that caliber on his own. Naruto simply kept on jumping around when he heard he was going on an A rank before he stopped. Awesome, I am going on an A rank, I'll go pack. Naruto was about to run towards the door when Sarutobi stopped him. Actually, Naruto, the mission is in the village. Naruto turned towards Sarutobi and walked back up. So, when do I meet the client? Sandaime-sama. Naruto decided to be respectful to the old man, not knowing what he was about to pull. Sarutobi was about to call to send the client in, Sandaime-sama. Everyone turned their heads to the door to see Anko Mitarashi. Some girl with red hair is arguing with a drunk. Gasp. Everyone turned their heads to see a wide-eyed Naruto with a considerable amount of hateful fear in his eyes. It can't be her. No, it can't be. Ajiji wouldn't. So that's the game you're playing. Naruto gritted his teeth and slowly turned his head towards Sarutobi, realizing what he was trying to pull, again. Who is the client? Naruto asked the question with barely contained aggression and a small amount of ki being released. Everyone was startled by the new aggression held in the blonde. Sarutobi sighed before he yelled, "Send them in." Naruto was about to ask the question again when he heard the door open. He turned his head to see an old man enter with a bottle of sake. He looked at them in a disappointed manner, but he didn't care about that. What he cared about was the next person to enter the room. Everyone was wide-eyed at the next person who entered. The one who entered was Namikaze Kushina, widow of the Yondaime. She was the most wanted bachelorette in all of Konoha. She was also the most dangerous kunoichi in Fire Country, and most of the elemental nations. They looked to see that no one else was coming, so they assumed that this was the client, especially since she was the only person who had enough money to pay for an A-rank mission. Naruto-kun. Man, lucky dog, he gets to spend a long amount of time with a slamming hot redhead, damn. How curious. Man, this is so troublesome. Munch, 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 geez Naruto, you will have enough money working with her to buy Ichiraku's. That blonde dobe, hired by the Namikaze Kushina, damn. What is with the dobe? He was happy a moment ago, but when the red-haired woman was mentioned, that Barker gets to do an A rank for Namikaze Kushina, no way. Sasuke-kun should have been the one asked to do that, Shannaro. Oh boy, what are you doing, Dad? Sandaime-sama. What's with the tension, I wonder? Sarutobi began to speak. Team 7, minus Naruto will be escorting Tazuna to the Land of Waves, and Uzumaki Naruto will be doing an A-rank mission for Namikaze Kushina. Now Sarutobi was immediately shut up when he felt a massive burst of intent radiating from the blonde. Said blonde snapped his head towards Sarutobi, anger evident in his eyes. What the Sarutobi? I made it clear years ago I want nothing to do with that woman. Sarutobi wanted to speak. Don't you interrupt me, old man. I made it very clear that I am never going near her again, and here you are, assigning me a mission that I will have to be near her. I remember our agreement, Sarutobi. I doubt you have forgotten it. Everyone was confused while Kushina began to tear up. Please, please Naruto, Kushina was letting more tears fall with every second that passed. I will not take the mission, Sarutobi. I will do D-rank missions for the rest of my life. I will hand in my Shinobi license. I will kiss Sasuke again, before I ever, and I mean ever, he snapped his head towards Kushina, do anything for her. The intent slowly began to drop. Naruto then turned his head back to Sarutobi. Where are we to meet for the C rank? Sarutobi sighed before speaking. Naruto, I assigned this mission to you, you are going to. I am not doing anything for her. Is there any part of that you do not seem to get? Sarutobi sighed, knowing there was no convincing the blonde otherwise. Team 7, including Naruto, will meet at the front gate tomorrow at noon. Dismissed. Naruto turned around and walked past the genin, all of them wondering the same thing. What could she have done to merit this amount of hatred? They watched as the blonde walked past Kushina. They watched as Kushina grabbed his shoulder. Kushina POV. Kushina was having various thoughts run through her head. Please Naruto. I beg you don't, please, take the mission. She watched as Sarutobi resigned himself, and pulled the mission. Please don't, please. Kushina watched as Naruto walked through the genins. Do you truly hate me that much? Naruto was walking past her. I can't let it end like this. She grabbed Naruto's shoulder. General POV. Naruto stopped in his tracks and snarled out, let go of me Namikaze. She didn't let go. Naruto reached for his kunai pouch, surprising everyone but the Sandaime in the room. Naruto was about to grab a kunai when Kushina fell to the floor. Naruto, please I beg you. I know what I did to you was wrong and you have every right to hate me. Kushina looked to Naruto, but please, my Sochi I beg you, give me one chance to redeem myself. She sobbed out the last sentence, and everyone was shocked by this. Hinata was wide-eyed, Kiba was shocked beyond belief, Shino actually showed some emotion, Ino stopped talking, Choji stopped eating, Shikamaru's jaw dropped, Sasuke and Sakura were stuttering, all of them had the same thought. He's her son. Naruto looked at the begging Kushina. He closed his eyes and let out a sigh. Kushina smiled and was about to wrap her son in a hug, but she was shocked when his eyes opened to show sheer and utter hatred running through them, but she was even more shocked by what came next. Smack, she fell to the floor clutching her cheek. She then looked up into her son's hate-filled eyes as he ground his teeth together. You lost the right to call me your Sochi long ago. Naruto turned straight towards the door and kicked it open, unaware of the shocked expressions that followed him. Kushina meanwhile was sobbing to herself while she clutched her cheek. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. She kept repeating that phrase in her head as she walked out of the mission's office. Meanwhile the genins were shocked. Naruto just slapped the Namika's head. And to top it all off, the woman was his mother. What the hell happened? Kiba was gritting his teeth. That's his mother, damn it. A son doesn't hit their mother, especially when they are so vulnerable. Hinata was shivering. Naruto-kun, what did your mother do to you to make you hate her so much? Shino couldn't even comprehend what was going on. That was his mother. She was begging on her knees, and he slapped her. Ino and Sakura had the same thought, and Naruto Baka, why? Choji was having the same thought as his best friend, more than just troublesome. Sasuke was gritting his teeth, he still has his mother, and he treats her like that bastard. No one looked to see the Sandaime looking at the portrait of the Yondaime, Naruto's father. Forgive me my friend for failing your son. He went back to his paperwork. Naruto was packing up for the C rank, and boy was he pissed off. Damn a GG, try to set me up with that woman, he knows we have a deal, so why the did he try that? Naruto continued packing his materials. He had everything ready for the coming mission, now all that was required was that he waits. Naruto looked out of his broken window. It was dark out, so he decided to go to sleep. Naruto crawled into his bed, unaware of the day that would come tomorrow. Next day, Naruto had arrived at the front gate about an hour after they were asked to be there. As he walked up to the gates, he saw that Tazuna was sitting there with Sasuke and Sakura. Damn, he really did not want to deal with those two right now. Naruto continued to walk, but made sure he was away from the other two and that no one could see him. He waited another hour for his sensei to show up. After an hour, Kakashi finally showed up. Oh hey guys, have any of you seen Naruto? He's usually here. Sasuke snorted in disgust at the mention of the blonde while Sakura simply shook her head. I'm right here, sensei. Everyone turned around to see Naruto standing in the shadows. He walked out of the shadows with that usual grin on his face. Sasuke sneered at the blonde and walked up to him. Sasuke then grabbed Naruto by the shirt and brought him to his face. What the was that stunt you pulled yesterday? You slapped your own mother, and on top of, ha. Sasuke immediately stopped his rant when he felt Naruto begin to grip his wrist. Surprisingly, Naruto had a strong grip, and man did it hurt. Naruto looked at Sasuke in the eyes, and he could have sworn they flashed red for a moment. She is not my mother, got it? He pushed Sasuke off of him and proceeded to walk past him. Sasuke was about to make a grab for Naruto when Kakashi stopped him. Sasuke, I think it would be best if you left Naruto alone. Kakashi walked back to the front of the group, while Sasuke glared at Naruto's back. Alright team, let's move out. Naruto walked behind Kakashi while Sasuke and Sakura took up the rear, both staring at the blonde's back. Undisclosed location. So let me get this straight, you want me to capture one brat. And you are willing to pay twice what I normally request for a mission like this, does that about cover it? Zabuza had been contacted by some person in Konoha and was currently doing business with the person. Yes, I want him alive and am willing to pay double. If it becomes more complicated then that I will triple it. Zabuza was wide-eyed at his client's request, but he smirked and was inwardly planning. With this much money I will be able to gather enough followers to take down the Mizukage. Looks like I will be Mizukage soon enough. Zabuza smirked and gave his answer. You have a deal, Namikaze-sama. Zabuza walked out of the inn where Kushina had asked that they meet. His apprentice Haku was waiting outside, petting his pet bunny. Kushina stayed in the room as she rooted through her purse. She finally found what she was looking for. She pulled out a picture frame with a picture of Uzumaki Naruto, her son. She stroked the whisker marks on his cheeks. Sochi, she wept as she clutched the picture to her chest, crying about the son who hated her. 3 days later with Team 7. Sasuke had tried numerous times to talk to Naruto about his mother, each one proved to be utterly useless. Naruto even turned down Sakura's requests for answers. Kakashi had to get the two away from Naruto every time he was about to go nuts on them. He was currently trying to make sure Naruto didn't blow up at the currently annoying his head off Sasuke. Damn it Naruto, she is your mother so why did you do that? Naruto glared at Sasuke. Shut up. Naruto began clutching his fists. Naruto, answer me. You slapped her, and she was begging on her knees. Are you so pathetic that you have to slap a vulnerable mother? Sasuke was releasing a bit of ki, but it was nothing compared to the built-up ki being released by the blonde. Shut up. Naruto's pupils began to dilate and form into slits, not that anyone noticed. Dobe, you say you're an orphan yet you have still living family. What the man, you should be hugging your mother. Crunch. Sasuke was immediately shut up by a fist careening with his nose, breaking the cartilage. Kakashi managed to catch Sasuke from falling while Tazuna dropped his bottle of sake. Sakura ran to Sasuke and started patching up his nose. Naruto, what the hell? Sasuke just wanted to know something. Naruto glared at Sakura with a small amount of intent, instantly shutting her up. Quiet Sakura, I am in no mood for your shrieking. He turned around and continued to walk up the path towards Wave. After they had patched up Sasuke's nose, Sakura stayed a good distance away from the blonde, scared of enticing his wrath. Sasuke simply glared at Naruto. Kakashi was making sure Naruto didn't go crazy. Tazuna was trying to keep himself calm. No one noticed the two ninja following them. The demon brothers, Meizu and Gozu, were watching their targets. Gato had hired their master Momoki Zabuza. He asked that they take out the bridge builder Tazuna, while another client, Namika's Kushina, wanted him to capture some blonde brat alive. They would only get paid if he was alive. Brother Meizu, should we strike now? Meizu looked at his brother. No, brother Gozu, we will attack when they are vulnerable. The two looked at each other, agreed. They then shunshined off, waiting for the time to strike. That night, Naruto was on night watch duty. He had tried to ignore Sasuke and Sakura talking about him behind his back, but with each passing second of them calling him moody. Hell, those two have no idea the shit he had to go through in life, so they had no right to judge him. He sighed as he stared at the fire. He was completely unaware of the old man watching him. Tazuna had originally thought that the blonde would be afraid of his own shadow as soon as he saw the Gaki, but when he saw him slap his mother like that, he wondered just how much he knew of the blonde. He decided to talk to him to see what was up. Hey brat. Naruto looked at the man, clearly annoyed. The name is Naruto, not brat, get it right. He spoke in a clearly annoyed tone. Tazuna sighed, thinking that Naruto would be a tough nut to crack. Look, Naruto, why is it you hate your mother? The air grew noticeably colder at the mention of the woman. I would thank you not to mention her around me, Tazuna-san. My life is difficult enough without remembering that wench. Tazuna cringed at the bluntness of Naruto's insult towards his own flesh and blood. Yet he also wondered how bad Naruto's life could possibly be. Hell, in Wave people had it bad, and they never did what this kid did to his own mother. How bad has your life been? Naruto looked at Tazuna before he went back to poking at the fire. He remained silent for a while. Tazuna sighed in exasperation. Fine, whatever. He went back to looking at the fire. I was 5. Tazuna looked at the blonde, finally thinking he could get something out of him. I was walking home to my run-down apartment, right in the middle of the red light district. Tazuna gasped. The red light district had to be the worst place for a 5-year-old to be. Surprisingly, the ones who lived in the red light district actually treated me nicely. Naruto chuckled as Tazuna looked at him in surprise. Can you imagine? The scummiest criminals in all of Konoha, the worst of the worst, were the only ones to treat me like a human being. Tazuna was visibly shaken. I was walking home from a Jiji-san's office. He had just signed me up for the Ninja Academy. I wanted to join the ninja corps so badly it hurt. Naruto looked down at that point. But I was passing through the Shinobi sector. What was I thinking? He brought his knees to his chest as Tazuna began to visibly cringe a bit. A couple of Anbu, normally just glare at me, were drunk off their rocker. Once they saw me, they began to chase me through the streets. After a while, I found myself in a dead-end alley. Naruto let a few tears fall at that point before he swallowed and continued. They tied me up and beat me to near submission, but because of a curse my own father put on me, I have no scars. They wanted to make a lasting impression on me, show the demon brat who is in charge. Tazuna was shaking at that point as Naruto began to remove his jacket and shirt. Most people think I are genjutsu, and they're right, but that's only because I have to keep one on at all times. Naruto ran through a few hand seals. The genjutsu I wear, I spent 3 months reading through genjutsu scrolls to make it. Also, it couldn't be detected, dispelled, or copied. Naruto finished the hand seals as his hand glowed blue. He then passed it over an area on his chest. The lasting mark they left on my body was incredibly painful. They had used a kaiten jutsu to heat up a kunai knife after they had charged it up with chakra. They carved this into my chest. But because of my curse, it kept healing, so they kept carving it into my chest for what felt like hours, until one of them decided it would leave a more lasting mark by searing my flesh and then using an ice-cold kunai to carve it in. That was my 4th permanent scar. Tazuna looked at the area Naruto indicated, right in the area that looked like it had been set ablaze with a welding torch and then rapidly cooled was the kanji for murderer. Tazuna also noticed that there was another scar that ran across the kanji. I was found by the local whore. She brought me to the whorehouse where I was treated for my injuries. Many a night I was brought to the whorehouse to heal my wounds and injuries. Hell, some of them even offered a little fun as I grew older. Naruto immediately grew depressed afterwards. They were the only friends and family I had. Eventually I made friends with the local bums, the criminals. Hell, I even made friends with a few guys that aren't supposed to be in Konoha. I help them, and all I ask is that they hide my secret. Naruto went back to poking the fire. Tazuna looked at the blonde. Why do you hide them? Naruto scoffed at this. He looked at Tazuna with an emotionless gaze before answering. Pity. Naruto stood up but was stopped by Tazuna. What do you mean? Why do you hide it? Because of pity. Naruto turned towards the old man. I hate pity. I hate it more than I hate anything. Every time I see that pathetic look in someone's eyes, it disgusts me. Pity won't heal my scars. Pity won't give me back my innocence. Pity won't heal what that wench did to me. I ain't much for pity, Tazuna. Naruto glared right into Tazuna's eyes. It's never gotten me anything. Naruto walked past Tazuna, but he had to jump back as a set of needles went past his head, barely missing him. Naruto snapped his head to see 2 Miss Nin carrying around blowguns. Both had some sort of massive claw connected by a sharpened chain. They wore masks to conceal the lower half of their faces. Naruto snapped his head towards Tazuna. Tazuna, wake the others. I'll hold 'em off. Naruto turned towards the 2 Miss Nin who were conversing amongst themselves. The blonde brat is to be taken alive, but the bridge builder must be. The one with 2 horns on his headband spoke. You the bridge builder, I will subdue the boy. The 2 did some odd movement with their claws before the chains separated. One ran towards Tazuna while the other ran towards Naruto with a syringe in his hand. Naruto was confused. Why did one of them have a syringe? He didn't have time to ponder this because he had to dodge a strike from the man that would have severely injured him. He ducked the man as he swept a claw at where his head would have been. Naruto ducked to feel the syringe enter his arm as the fluid began running through him. Naruto started feeling extremely drowsy as the last thing he saw was someone kicking the Mist Nin in the face. With Kakashi. Kakashi had tied up the two assailants and managed to prop Naruto up. He looked Naruto over and sighed. Naruto had been given a high dosage of tranquilizer, but why? Kakashi immediately turned his head towards Tazuna. You have a lot of explaining to do, Tazuna-san. Tazuna looked sheepish for a moment before he sighed. All right, look, this is what's going on, insert sob story here. Kakashi scrunched his forehead, wondering what the hell was going on. As far as what Tazuna's story could tell, Gato wasn't after Naruto, so why did the demon brothers work so hard to tranquilize him when they could have easily him? Kakashi looked to see that Naruto wouldn't be waking up for a while. He now had to make the decision on whether or not they would continue the mission or not. Well guys, what do you think? Do you want to continue the mission? Sasuke looked at his hands for a moment before he smirked. Yeah, like I'm going to let the Dobe rip on me for not continuing the mission. Sakura looked at Sasuke, then at Naruto. After a moment of this she answered. Yes, I don't want to have the fact that we left him to die be on my conscience. Kakashi nodded and picked up Naruto. Sakura was confused for a moment. Sensei, don't you think Naruto would have an opinion on this? Kakashi I smiled at Sakura. Sakura, we could be facing off against 100 S-rank missing Nin and Naruto would still want to continue the mission. I don't think he would have a problem with continuing the mission if we are just going to be fighting off a few Junin. Sakura nodded in approval while Sasuke kept glaring at Naruto. Kakashi sighed in exasperation. If Sasuke knew what his mother did to him, he would completely agree with everything Naruto did to her. Kakashi sighed at that thought and began to walk while Tazuna and his team followed. One day later, undisclosed location. How could you possibly have failed to the bridge builder, and capture a green as a grasshopper's genin? The demon brothers cowered in fear of Zabuza. After Kakashi and his team left they managed to cut the ropes so they could report to their master, and boy was he pissed. Zabuza-sama, please, we managed to subdue the brat and almost got away, but we were attacked by the copy ninja Hitaki Kakashi of the Sharingan Eye. Zabuza raised an eyebrow at that. So, looks like things have become more complicated. He inwardly smirked. Not only could he get a bit more cash foring the bridge builder, but he could also get a shitload more cash to capture the brat. It was a win-win situation for him. Alright, both of you will be accompanying me to capture the brat, while you two are to the bridge builder. Haku will assist us, after all, he does have the best aim, and he will most likely paralyze the brat, unlike me who would just him. The two nodded, knowing that every single capture mission that they have done was only successful because of Haku. Zabuza, the three turned around to see a pudgy man wearing a crappy suit being flanked by two mediocre samurai. I asked you to the bridge builder, I don't remember any part of the mission to capture some genin brat. Zabuza snorted in contempt at the man. You aren't the only contractor I have, Gato, and on top of that, you should probably increase the bounty on Tazuna's head, otherwise, he won't be worth my time to. Gato growled but sighed. Doesn't matter, so long as that damn Tazuna is dead. Then again, this brat must be worth something, I'll have to check in on it myself. Gato inwardly smirked as he nodded his head. He left the room while Zabuza began planning how he would the bridge builder and capture Uzumaki Naruto, unaware that Gato was listening to his entire plan. With Team 7, 2 days later. Team 7 had crossed the river thanks to a rower who had managed to keep out of Gato's claws. The Y were now walking through a forest as an odd mist began to roll in. Naruto was even more on edge. Kakashi had told him that those guys had tried to capture him, but why? He was trying to calm down when he heard something in the bushes. He immediately threw a kunai in the bushes. Sakura ran over to find a white rabbit. Naruto, you barker, look at what you did to this poor rabbit. Man, is it any wonder you are so cruel to your MPHMMH? Sakura was immediately shut up as Kakashi put a hand over her mouth. He began looking around as his eyes suddenly widened. Get down. Naruto dropped to the ground while Kakashi brought down Sakura as Sasuke brought down the client. Kakashi looked up to see a massive Zanbatsu-styled guillotine. The next moment he saw a man jump on the guillotine. He had Shinobi-style pants, a bunch of bandages covering up his mouth, and a set of full arm warmers. Kakashi went wide-eyed when he realized who it was. Momoki Zabuza, ex-Kirinin head of Anbu Black Ops, one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist, known throughout the elemental countries as the Kirigakure no Kijin. What a pleasant surprise. Kakashi got into a fighting stance as Sasuke began to stand up. Naruto had managed to avoid the sword and had gotten a kunai out. Sakura had stood up and had readied a kunai as well. Zabuza chuckled. Sharingan to Kakashi, the thief of 1,000 jutsus, single-handedly fought off the Tsuchikage when he led an attack on Konoha. I'm honored. Zabuza snapped his fingers as 3 more Kiryu Nin appeared. Capture the blonde, kill the rest. The one wearing a hunter nin mask ran at the blonde while Zabuza did a backflip and grabbed his sword. He snapped his head towards Kakashi as the demon brothers ran at Sasuke and Sakura. Zabuza ripped the sword out of the tree and swung it down on Kakashi. The ex-Kirinin ducked under Naruto's kunai and sent him flying over his shoulder. Naruto landed right on his back but managed to jump back up as he threw a kunai at the ninja. The ninja sidestepped the kunai and threw a hail of senbon needles at Naruto. Naruto jumped when he saw the senbon and managed to avoid most of them. A few however managed to get in his leg. Aaggh, Naruto fell to the ground clutching his leg as the Kirinin walked over to him. Naruto placed his hands in his favorite seal, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, and 12 clones appeared. They all charged at the ninja while Naruto started ripping the senbon out of his leg. Shit, why the are these guys trying to capture me? Naruto pulled out the last senbon as the ninja destroyed the last of his clones. He jumped away as the ninja shoved a syringe into the ground where his leg used to be. Hey, why the hell are you trying so hard to capture me? The ninja looked at Naruto and threw a set of shuriken that pinned one of Naruto's sleeves. The ninja ran at Naruto and pulled out a few senbon that Naruto barely noticed had something dripping from them. He jumped away as the ninja managed to get one into his arm. Naruto leaped away. Haku was running right at him. Naruto smirked and was about to get into a fighting stance when he realized he couldn't move his arm. He panicked and had to sidestep Haku, but ended up falling over his own feet when he started to feel numb. The ninja turned to Naruto. I see the venom is taking effect. The ninja removed his mask to reveal a very effeminate face. Naruto shouted, Venom, what venom? The ninja pulled out a bit of rope as he walked over to Naruto. I extracted this venom from a species of snake. They paralyze their prey, and then eat them alive. A small dosage of the venom can force a human to lose all feeling in their limbs. It is useful in hunter nin squads when they wish to capture their opponents. Luckily, it is non-lethal, so overdosing the amounts administered to a human is not a problem. The ninja was about to start tying up Naruto, crack. But Naruto managed to move a limb enough to get the ninja in the side of his face. The ninja grabbed his face and looked at the blonde. Why isn't the venom working? Naruto smirked at the ninja. I have been poisoned so many times I can't even begin to tell you how many times I have to check my food. Luckily my body has a natural filter that destroys any foreign substance, and the best part is that whatever it was that was in my body, it will never affect me again. Naruto ripped out a kunai. Come on bastard, show me what you've got. The ninja pulled out a kunai and a set of senbon as Naruto charged at him. With Kakashi, Kakashi had to jump out of the way as Zabuza brought his sword down. He pulled out a kunai and threw it at Zabuza. The kunai connected with Zabuza, only for him to dissolve into water. Ha ha ha, how do you like it Kakashi? Mizu Bunshin no Jutsu, very useful. Kakashi turned around to see that Zabuza had somehow gotten behind him and was now swinging his massive sword at him. Kakashi barely avoided the blade as he jumped over it and stood on the blade's edge. He pulled out a kunai and made a single knife thrust at Zabuza. Zabuza smirked as he used his other hand to grab Kakashi's wrist and threw him off the sword. Kakashi managed to land on his feet where he began panting, "Damn, Zabuza is clearly after Naruto, what does he want with him? I can't waste any time. These guys are clearly more skilled than Sasuke, Sakura, or Naruto, time to bring it out." Kakashi reached up to his forehead protector, causing Zabuza to smirk in anticipation. "Ah, the famous Sharingan, I was wondering when you were going to bring it out." Zabuza brought his blade up, he then quirked an eyebrow when he saw Kakashi reach for his kunai pouch. "Do you honestly think a kunai is going to help you?" He was about to charge when Kakashi began to chuckle. "Oh Zabuza, whoever said I was bringing out a kunai?" The hand that was right next to the kunai pouch began to glow with white chakra, causing a seal to appear on the kunai pouch. He then swept his hand over the seal, causing a white puff of smoke. Kakashi pulled his hand away from the kunai pouch to reveal a tanto, but not just any tanto, the Hako Chakra too. Zabuza was wide-eyed. Impossible, that blade was destroyed in the Third Great Ninja War. Kakashi raised his blade at eye level, pointing it at Zabuza. "It has been remade." Kakashi ran at Zabuza, Sharingan spinning and the tanto glowing with white light. With Sasuke and Sakura, Sasuke was using his kunai to block their claw strikes while Sakura was trying to use what few genjutsu she knew to confuse the new nin. Neither of them were in the best of shape. Sasuke had gotten a small cut on his arm, but thanks to one of his kunai he was able to bleed out most of the poison. Sakura had managed to avoid some of the blows, but the poison was beginning to affect her. Sasuke was starting to tire as well. He had barely managed to avoid being wrapped up in their chain blade but managed to open a fairly large wound on his arm. "Shit, any more of this and I am going to die." He sidestepped one of the demon brothers as they shoved their clawed gauntlets into the ground. The other brother jumped over him and swung his claw downwards. Sasuke threw a kunai that grazed the new nin's arm. The new nin clutched his arm as his brother ran over to him. "Brother Meizu, do you need assistance?" His brother looked at him. "No brother Gozu, it's merely a scratch." He looked at Sakura. He then looked at his brother. "Shall we finish the wench first?" His brother looked back at him. "Indeed brother." The two looked at each other. Agreed. They charged at Sakura. Sasuke was too far away, so he was unable to help her. The two brothers were only a foot away from her. The one on the left shoved his claw to her head while the other aimed for her abdomen. Squelch. Sakura was impaled. The two brothers were about to pull him out when the girl looked at them with glowing red eyes. She smiled a massive smile as the grass below them began to grow to insane proportions. The grass then began to wrap around their legs. The brothers immediately looked around before they flooded their systems with chakra. They watched as the thing that was in their claws turned into a log. In rage they ripped their claws out of the log before turning around to see a panting Sakura and a nervous Sasuke. So, a kawarimi and a genjutsu just as we were about to the girl. How resourceful, but enough talk. Come brother, take the girl, the brat is mine. His brother got into a crouched position. Of course brother, skin him alive. The two ran forwards as Sasuke prepared a few hand seals. Kaiten, Gokakyu no Jutsu, he blew out a fireball as the two brothers used their hands in unison with each other, screaming at the same time. Suten, Suijin Heki, the two suddenly stopped as a wall of water surrounded them, stopping the fireball in its tracks. Sasuke pulled out a windmill shuriken and threw it at the demon brothers. With Naruto ran at the ninja as he brought up the kunai. They clashed their kunais. Naruto smirked as he was about to pull out another kunai, when the ninja threw the 3 senbon into points in his neck. Naruto dropped the kunai as he slumped to the ground. Damn it, what the did you do to me? The man looked towards Naruto. I pierced some of your central nerves, the first senbon connected to your primary movement nerves, the second senbon connected to your primary chakra network, and the final senbon connected to your central command system. If you didn't understand that, then I will make it clear. I shut down your movement capabilities, I shut off your ability to use your own chakra, and I also made it so in the next few seconds you will be unconscious. Thump! The man looked at Naruto as he lost consciousness. Now to finish off those other pests. The man walked away, unaware of the mistake he made. Mindscape. A set of red eyes looked at an unconscious Naruto. A massive smirk appeared under the glowing red orbs. Looks like my container needs my assistance. How delightful. A wave of crimson chakra flowed over the blonde as the demon smirked. You should thank your father for sealing me, in a runt like you. Naruto's eyes snapped open, revealing crimson orbs. Kyuubi was in control, for now. Outside. The new Nin was about to walk off to help fight Sasuke and Sakura when he felt a massive build-up of chakra, but this was no ordinary chakra. He turned around to see a crimson aura begin to surround Naruto's body. He watched as the blonde pulled himself up from the ground. He looked closer as the whisker marks on his face deepened, his nails extended and became claws. He slowly raised his head and snarled, showing massive fangs coming from his mouth. Naruto snapped his eyes open to reveal red slitted eyes. The new Nin began to sweat and tremble as the blonde snarled at him. Naruto swung his head back and unleashed a deafening roar. Grrraaggghhhhh. The mere sound of the roar sent a wave of raw chakra at the new Nin and his comrades. With Kakashi was thrown back along with Zabuza as a massive wave of chakra tore through the trees and forcing Zabuza's Kirigakure no Jutsu to dispel. Kakashi was wide-eyed as he recognized the foul chakra. Oh god, is the 9-tailed fox loose? This is bad. Kakashi was blown back by another wave of raw chakra. Zabuza was actually trembling. No way is this any of my men, is this one of Kakashi's brats? Zabuza tried to get up but was knocked back down by another wave of chakra. With Sasuke and Sakura, the windmill shuriken that was about to hit the demon brothers was shot away by a wave of chakra that blew the demon brothers back. The two managed to grab the ground with their massive claws. Sasuke and Sakura were thrown to the tree line. The two were shaking in fear at the foul energy, and it was coming from where they last saw Naruto. This can't be Naruto, can it? Was the thought going through both their heads. General POV. Everyone looked in the direction they felt the dark chakra as the mist began to clear. They were terrified at what they were seeing. Naruto was standing in a crater that was made from the raw buildup of chakra. There was a red chakra swirling around him like a tornado, and his eyes were like looking into the pits of hell themselves, such hatred, anger, bloodlust. Naruto looked around as he saw the ninja he was fighting. He took a single step forwards as he vanished from sight. Everyone looked around. The one who found Naruto was the ninja who fought him, and he ended up getting slugged right in the face. He tumbled a few feet before Naruto crouched on all fours as he ran at the fallen ninja, snarling with every step. The demon brothers shunshined in front of the ninja, claws and chain out, ready to skewer the blonde. Contract be damned. Naruto leapt at the demon brothers with his claws outstretched. He slashed at the chain. The brothers smirked, until his nails slashed right through the chain and were heading for their throats. Squelch. The ninja was terrified as he saw the two clawed hands slice right through the back of his comrades' throats, spraying blood all over the place. Naruto shoved his hands right through the demon brothers' necks as their heads were severed from his shoulders. Naruto was about to charge forwards when he was tackled to the ground by Kakashi, who pulled out a piece of paper with a complex seal on it and slapped it on Naruto's head. Naruto immediately began to calm down as he slumped to the ground. Kakashi got up to see that Zabuza and the other ninja vanished from sight. He sighed knowing that they would be back. He turned around to see that Sakura and Sasuke were staring at Naruto in fright. He looked to the knocked-out blonde to see that his genjutsu had dissipated. Shit, he must have overloaded the genjutsu with the Kyuubi's chakra, damn. Kakashi looked towards Sasuke and Sakura. I know you two want answers, but I don't think that now is the best time. Help me carry Naruto to Tazuna's house. The two complied and shared one last look at the blonde. What the hell, I have never seen such severe scars. Those scars, so, oh my god, you're telling me, damn. Sasuke picked up Naruto as Sakura found Tazuna hiding in the bushes. They set off towards Tazuna, questions on their mind. A few hours later, with Kushina. Kushina was waiting at an inn that she had rented out to set up a rendezvous point with Zabuza. She hoped that Zabuza could take care of Kakashi. As long as she got her son back, she didn't care. She just wanted to hold him in her arms. She just wanted to tell him how much she loved him. Kushina looked at the pictures she had in front of her. One was of her husband, Namikaze Minato. She sneered in disgust as she looked at the man, for what he did to their son. The other was of her son, the one who hated her. Oh, how they looked so much alike. Naruto was practically a carbon copy of his father. Those blue eyes, that spiky blonde hair, even their facial features were the same. Except for those whisker marks. Kushina chuckled to herself as she traced the whisker marks on her son's face. She suddenly began to feel butterflies in her stomach as she looked at her son, that cute face, those beautiful blue eyes that were like a hypnotic pull. She shook her head of those thoughts. What am I thinking? He is my son. I can't have thoughts like that. She decided to label her thoughts as observations. After all, she couldn't actually fall in love with her son, could she? Yes, she loved him a bit more than most mothers should, but she wasn't in love with him, right? Kushina kept stroking her son's whisker marks when she heard someone knock on the door. She turned towards the door and got a small dagger ready. Enter. The person who entered was a young woman with blonde hair. She had a nice figure. She was wearing a standard business suit. She walked into the room and sat in front of Kushina. Namikaze Kushina, I am the head secretary of Gato Shipping. My boss wishes to offer you a proposition. Kushina edged her hand closer to her dagger as she cautiously glared at the woman. What kind of proposition, may I ask? The woman sighed before answering. Gato is willing to offer to capture Uzumaki Naruto. Kushina raised an eyebrow at that. Oh really? And what does that stuck-up pig want in return? The woman cringed at the harsh tone in her voice but straightened herself to continue. Nothing, but he is asking you to withdraw your contract with Zabuza. Kushina narrowed her eyes. Really? And what would happen should I not? The woman sighed as she answered. He says unless you withdraw the contract with Zabuza, he will not be held accountable to what happens to your son. Tsunami was standing at the stove cooking dinner, all the while looking back at the door, praying Tazuna would come home. Her father had left over a week ago to get help from a nearby Shinobi village. But she heard rumors that Gato's thugs were not the only issue he would have to face. She heard that Gato had hired Shinobi. She had heard how expensive Shinobi missions were, and knew that even with all the money everybody had managed to scrounge up to purchase a mission, with enemy Shinobi as a variable, she doubted they would help them. Knock, knock. Tsunami turned to the door as she heard somebody knocking. She ran to the door hoping it was her father, but before she could open the door it was kicked open. Ahhh. Tsunami was about to grab a knife, when her eyes landed on who was in the doorway. A tall white-haired man that was panting from exhaustion, a pink-haired girl, a black-haired boy with an incredibly odd hairdo, and a blonde-haired child who was scarred worse than anyone she had ever seen before. Tsunami looked further back to see her father pushing past the Shinobi. Sorry, but this kid needs to get inside fast so they can work on him. The Shinobi quickly headed over to the couch and laid down on the couch as the white-haired man began to perform hand seals. Tsunami looked at her father. "Tu-san, what is going on?" Tazuna sighed as he grasped Tsunami's shoulder. "Come in the kitchen, I will explain it there." He guided Tsunami to the kitchen while the Shinobi worked on Naruto. Team 7 POV. Kakashi finished his hand seals and a green glow came to his hands. He quickly pressed his hands to Naruto's chest and slowly began to shift them around. Sakura was about to speak, only for Sasuke to grab her arm and shake his head, indicating that it was a bad idea. Sakura reluctantly agreed and stepped back as Kakashi went about doing whatever it was he was doing. Kakashi began to sweat as he kept charging chakra into Naruto's coils. Damn, how much chakra did Naruto use in this damn genjutsu? He watched as parts of Naruto's body began to shimmer as his scars were hidden away by the genjutsu. Finally, after 12 minutes, Naruto was completely covered in his genjutsu. Sigh, Kakashi slumped back and panted as he reached for some chakra replenishing pills. Sasuke looked between Naruto and Kakashi before he finally spoke up. "Kakashi, what the hell is going on?" Kakashi sighed as he sat up. "Naruto has his secrets, Sasuke, just as you have your own. If Naruto wants to tell you, he can." Sasuke growled and stormed out of the house, Sakura following close behind. Meanwhile in the kitchen, Tsunami stared at her father in shock. "Why you mean, that boy was beaten by, oh my. Kami-sama." Tsunami sat back and looked at the table. How could people be so cruel as to beat a child? Not even Gato has gone that far, yet. Tazuna sighed. "I know how you feel, Tsunami. Believe me, after hearing what that one kid went through I was shocked." Tsunami looked at her father. If his life was that bad, then why did he remain in the village? Tazuna sighed as he sat down. "I wonder that myself, Tsunami, I truly do." Later, Naruto groggily opened his eyes and rubbed the sediment that had gathered on his eyelids. He threw his legs over the edge of the couch he was laying on. Cracking his neck, he groaned, "Damn, what hit me?" Hello, Naruto snapped his head up and saw a beautiful young woman in front of him. She had on civilian clothes and had beautiful black hair. She was carrying a tray with tea and steaming bread. My name is Tsunami, your name is Naruto, right? Naruto nodded his head. Yes, how do you know me? Tsunami smiled gently as she set the tray in front of Naruto and walked around the table as she sat to his side. My father is your client, thank you for keeping him safe. If he had died, I don't know how we could have survived. Naruto sighed as he grabbed a biscuit. I don't know what to say, as I have never, nor will I ever be in that position. He bit into the biscuit and chewed, whilst Tsunami poured a cup of tea. So, Tsunami sighed and placed the teapot down. Naruto, my father told me how you were treated in Konoha. I was just wondering, is it true? Naruto glanced at Tsunami and looked down. The beatings, the glares, the mobs, was it all true? Naruto sighed as he placed the half-eaten biscuit down. Yes, it is. He stood up and walked to the door. I will go patrol the area. I will be back later. Naruto closed the door behind him while Tsunami sighed as she looked at the floor. With Kushina. Kushina sighed in annoyance as she paced, mumbling to herself, where is he? He should have been here by now. She growled as she sat down, he had better have a good excuse for making me wait this long. Kushina reached to grab a cup of tea, when she heard knocking on the door of the inn. Enter. The door opened to reveal Zabuza, who was worse for wear, with Haku following close behind. Namikaze-sama, we are here to report. Kushina looked at him. Well then, report. Zabuza sighed as he sat down. Haku stood at his side as he looked at Kushina. Zabuza leaned forward. All right, I will start from the beginning. You told us to capture and retrieve one Uzumaki Naruto, a blonde-haired blue-eyed genin who had whisker marks on his face, and to anybody that got in our way. Gozu Amazu had managed to disable him with a special drug that knocked him out, but Sharingan no Kakashi, an A-rank jonin in the bingo book, managed to subdue the two of them. After they left, they came and reported to me on what had occurred with the group. Kushina nodded. Yes, go on. Zabuza sighed. After we discussed a plan where my apprentice Haku, he indicated to the one standing at his side, to subdue the target while Meizu, Gozu, and myself would keep the others busy. However, he gave Kushina a stern look. Kushina raised an eyebrow. However, Zabuza stood up. However, you failed to mention that our target was a Jinchuriki. Comma. Kushina looked at Zabuza, then grabbed a cup of tea she had set aside. Yes, but what does that have to do with anything? Zabuza released a shitload of intent as he shouted. That brat, which you said was a brand new genin, ed 2B rank chunin ninjas in a single strike. If I had known he was a Jinchuriki I would have. Kushina stood up and glared at him. You would have what? Ed him, maimed him, finished him off quickly. Do not forget Zabuza that I hired you to capture him alive. If he is, I will make sure you pay for it. Haku stepped between Kushina and Zabuza. How dare you threaten Zabuza-sama sching. Haku silenced himself as Kushina suddenly pulled out a katana and placed it at Haku's throat. Shut your mouth, brat. This is between me and your master. She removed the sword from Haku's throat and placed it in her sheath. Now, she looked at Zabuza. I will make this clear. I want him caught alive. If it becomes necessary to cripple him, then do so without making it a risk to his life. Just get him to me alive, and not at risk of death. Zabuza was about to speak. If you can accomplish this, I will give you twice what we agreed on. Zabuza's eyes widened. She was basically offering him a daimyo's fortune. the entire bank account of the Namikaze clan. Why do you want this brat so badly? Kushina turned away and walked towards the other room, but stopped and looked at Zabuza. What more reason do I need than to hold my baby in my arms? She quickly slinked into the other room, leaving a shocked Zabuza. That Jinchuriki brat is her son. No wonder she is willing to pay as much as she is offering. Zabuza turned away as a grin traced his features. Oh well, doesn't matter to me, so long as I get paid. He walked out the door with Haku close behind. At Tazuna's place, 2 days later. Team 7, Tazuna, Tsunami, and a young boy, Tsunami's son, Inari, sat at the table as they ate a well-cooked meal. Naruto ate the food slowly, as he had injured his hand a bit earlier that day. He had spent the last 2 days training in taijutsu, as well as chakra control. Inari looked at the shinobi, and slammed his fist into the table. I can't stand you people. You walk around all happy and carefree. Gato is just going to you, so why do you try so hard? Naruto glanced at Inari before he looked back at his food. I try because I don't want to end up a whiny little brat like you who can't even stand up for himself. Inari shouted, shut up, you have no idea what it is like to suffer. Clang, everybody turned to see Tsunami drop her utensils and walk towards Inari. Inari, come with me, now. Inari steadily stood up, as the look in his mother's eyes was terrifying. He followed her into the other room, where she closed the door, then smacked him across the face. Inari stood still as he felt the stinging pain run through his face. He looked at his mother, Keika-chan, what? Tsunami snapped at Inari, I can't believe how ungrateful you are, how narrow-minded you are thinking. I know Kaiser did not raise you to be like this. Those shinobi are risking their lives to help us, and you are spitting in their faces. They didn't have to help us, they could have gone right back to their village as soon as they found out that we had lied to them. If it wasn't for them, especially that boy, who you so carelessly insulted, your grandfather would be dead, and likely, either you, or I would follow soon. Inari trembled, but Ka-chan, it's true, Gato will them. Look what happened to Tusan because he opposed Gato. Tsunami shouted, so what you are saying is that we should let Gato trample all over us, degrade us, lower our morale even further. Is that what you are saying? She looked at Inari with disappointment. Kaiser would be ashamed of you. She turned and walked back into the kitchen, leaving Inari to his thoughts. Next day, Team 7 walked towards the bridge, with Tazuna following close behind. Naruto kept darting his eyes around. Those two were after me, what do they want? Naruto had become incredibly paranoid in the last few days. First, 2 Kiri missing nin attacked him with full intentions of capturing him, and then they were joined by 2 more ninja that were infinitely better than he was. The only reason they had managed to escape was because he used Kyuubi's chakra, but he was pretty sure they would be back, and soon. They were about halfway across the unfinished bridge, when they were suddenly surrounded by an incredibly thick mist. Kukuku, looks like it's my lucky day. Everyone turned around to see Zabuza and his accomplice appear in a swirl of water. Both of my targets are here, a green as a grasshopper's genin, and a drunken old man. Zabuza swung his sword out, easiest payday of my life. He charged forward with his accomplice following behind. Kakashi pulled out a kunai and used it to block the sword, only for the blade to be cleaved in half as Kakashi jumped back, in time to avoid being sliced in half. The other ninja attacked Naruto, who quickly pedaled back as Haku began to engage him in a taijutsu battle. Sasuke and Sakura were about to assist him, but were stopped as a wall of ice suddenly appeared and surrounded Naruto and Haku. Haku turned towards Naruto and removed his mask. Now, time to finish this. He charged at Naruto and smashed his fist into the blonde's face, making him spin into the wall of ice. As Naruto fell down, Haku grabbed him by his throat and smashed him back into the wall. The ice wielder pulled out a syringe. This elixir will render you unconscious, then upon your awakening, you will find you will not be able to move your arms and legs. It is my most prized creation. Haku squeezed on the syringe for good measure, showing the liquid ooze out of the tip. Naruto groggily opened his eyes as he saw the syringe coming towards him. No, I can't, I won't. Drip. Naruto's eyes fully opened where he found himself inside a sewer. Drip. He stood up and looked around. This way, boy, jumped at the sound of the dark voice. But some underlying feeling made his feet move in the direction he heard the voice. That's it. Closer. Come to me, Naruto continued until he was standing in front of a steel wall. Naruto slowly reached for the door handle and pushed it open, revealing a sight that was both astonishing and terrifying. In front of him was a massive set of iron bars with a piece of paper holding it completely shut. The bars looked like they had been carved out of the darkest of metals. The thing that terrified him was beyond the bars. A massive crimson fox with 9 long tails behind it was grinning at Naruto as its blood-red eyes set the gaze upon him. It's about damn time you got here, brat. Kyuubi laid down and began to speak. Now, on to business. You are currently being captured, and soon to be crippled for life by an enemy. I am not certain if I will be able to remove the toxins, so I believe it will be best if you use my power, now. Kyuubi shoved his yuki through the cage bars and watched as it wrapped itself around the blonde. Outside, Haku was about to place the syringe in Naruto's neck, only to cough up blood as Naruto suddenly shot his arm out, claws extended, and drove it into Haku's sternum. Haku stumbled back as he dropped the syringe and looked up as the same crimson chakra began to wrap itself around Naruto, only now, it began to take a physical-like form. It grew 2 large pointed ears on the top of its head, and a log-bubbling tail at the end. It also formed giant demonic claw shapes at the end of each limb. Naruto's eyes shot open, revealing them to be red and slitted as he swung his head back and let loose a guttural roar, rag. He shot his arm at Haku, sending a long limb of crimson chakra that wrapped itself around the effeminate male. Naruto snarled as he began to squeeze the life out of Haku's body. The boy coughed up blood as he felt his already broken ribs crush into his lungs and heart. He took one last look at Naruto, before he felt as if his body was being ground into mush as his insides shot out between Naruto's ethereal hand. Meanwhile, Kakashi and Zabuza were staring down Gato and his thugs, who had explained that he never had any intention of paying Zabuza before he orders his thugs to attack. Kakashi and Zabuza are about to charge and attack, when they feel a massiving intent as they hear the noticeable sound of cracking. They turn around to see the giant wall of ice Haku had constructed begin to falter as cracks were stretching across its surface. The poundings on the other side of the ice wall stopped for a moment, before a massive roar was let loose as the ice was blown all over the place. Zabuza barely had any time to dodge, and ended up with ice shrapnel getting lodged in different parts of his body. Out of the fog created by the explosion of ice, a figure walked through, radiating malice the likes none of them had ever seen. Kakashi's eyes widened as he saw Naruto walk out being covered by a one-tailed fox cloak. He looked across the bridge with a look reminiscent of a predator searching for his prey. Sasuke, Sakura, and Tazuna were practically trembling at the feel of being intent as Naruto's gaze passed over them. Finally, Naruto's gaze stopped on Gato and his thugs, and he let loose a howl of bloodlust and fury before he crouched on all fours and charged at the army of thugs. Gato pedaled back and shouted, "Kill him!" The thugs ran forward, thinking that their numbers would be able to take the blonde down. It was the last mistake they ever made. Naruto drove his clawed hand through the throat of one thug while he used his chakra tail to smash another thug into the ground. He tore his clawed hand out of the thug's throat and buried his claws into the skull of another thug as he swung him around like a bat as he smashed the lone thug into his comrades. Gato watched at the end of the bridge as his thugs were being maimed and mutilated by the demonic blood-crazed genin. In a last-ditch effort he began to beg, "Please, don't hurt me, have mercy, I will give you anything. Money, women, anything." Naruto had snapped the neck of another thug as he stalked towards Gato, hunched over like a predator ready to pounce. He snarled out in a deep guttural voice, "Die!" He thrust his arm towards Gato. Gato, squelch. Naruto had buried his claws in Gato's throat as he kicked the man in the chest, sending his body spinning towards the water as the river of blood spurted from the hole in his throat. Naruto turned around and surveyed what he had done. The entire end of the bridge was covered in pools of blood and body parts. It would be impossible to distinguish if a body part went to one person or another. As the Kyuubi cloak fell, Naruto's eyes began to droop as he fell to his knees. Just before he fell face first in a pool of blood that was not his, Kakashi caught him and hoisted him over his shoulder. Sighing as he looked at the blonde, "This is going to be a lot of paperwork. It has been 3 days since the incident on the bridge, 3 days since Zabuza and his Hyoten-wielding servant tried to kidnap Naruto, 3 days since Naruto had brutally slaughtered an army of thugs, 3 days since Naruto had entered a coma, and still had not woken up." The team had taken turns standing by his bedside as Tazuna finished the bridge. Kakashi took the mornings, Sasuke the afternoon, and Sakura took night shift. Sometimes even Tsunami would take care of the blonde, waiting for him to wake up. Even Inari pitched in. The villagers had often come by the house, hoping to thank Naruto, who was now being referred to as the hero of Nami no Kuni. A few brought gifts and even asked Kakashi if Naruto would be interested in marrying some of the daughters. Currently, Kakashi was trying to keep an extremely persistent woman out of the house. For the last time, lady, Naruto is not awake, and needs his rest. The woman, who was incredibly beautiful, frowned. "Oh please, the hero of Wave defeated Gato in less than a minute, how could somebody that powerful need rest?" She grinned, "Besides, why would he want to rest when I am offering him this body?" She slides her hands across her form, accentuating her impressive bust and curves. Kakashi frowned outwardly, but inwardly was cursing Naruto for attracting such a sexy woman. "For Kami's sake, lady, he is only 12, and you are in your 20s. The woman frowned and crossed her arms underneath her. "Correct me if I am wrong, but since he is a shinobi, isn't he considered an adult?" Kakashi sighed as he massaged his temples. "Yes, that is correct." The woman hen placed her hands on her hips. "So, whether I am 10 or so years older than him or not, since he is technically an adult, it is not an issue." Kakashi opened his mouth to try and get her to leave. "Kakashi-sensei." But he turned around as Sakura came bolting out of the house. "It's Naruto, he is awake." Kakashi was about to head into the house, when the women plowed past him and up the stairs. He growled in annoyance as he and Akura walked up the stairs. The woman had managed to get to Naruto's room and was now trying several advances on him. "So Naruto-kun, how about later you and me go to my house and have some fun? After all, you still haven't been properly rewarded for saving us, and I doubt Tsunami will be able to please you, not like I could." She shrugged her shoulders, allowing her dress to fall a bit. Naruto was blushing, all the while edging away from the woman. Kakashi and Sakura walked in to see the woman stripping down. "Hey." But the woman stopped and turned towards the two. "He just woke up. Give him some space, damn it." Kakashi was seriously getting aggravated with this woman. Sure, several women were offering their hands in marriage to Naruto, or offering the daughters, but at least the girls were around his age range, maybe 2 or 3 years older, not in their late 20s. The woman frowned and stood up. Fine, she walked towards the door, but not before turning towards Naruto and waving. "Talk to you later, Naruto-kun," she said with a sultry grin as she headed downstairs. Naruto sighed as he looked at Kakashi. "So, when do we leave?" Kakashi sighed and pulled out his book. "Well, now that you are awake, we can leave in a couple hours. So start packing." Kakashi left the room as Naruto and Sakura began to pack their stuff. Nobody noticed the shadowed figure who watched the entire exchange. Couple hours later, Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi stood at the front of the bridge as Tazuna got ready to clip the red ribbon across the bridge. They had been asked to stay long enough to see the naming of the bridge. Out of courtesy, they chose to stay. Tazuna cleared his throat. "I am happy to announce that this bridge, which without the help of these fine shinobi, would not have been built. So, in honor of their bravery, courage, and sacrifice, I hereby open this bridge, in honor of our greatest hero, the great Naruto Bridge." He cut the rope as a plaque was unveiled, showing the name of the bridge. Cheers erupted from the crowd, while girls were screaming in joy and making cat calls towards Naruto. Naruto smiled softly as they turned and left towards Konoha. Meanwhile, in the trees, a shinobi with a slashed forehead protector shunshined away after it finished watching the proceedings. 3 days later, Team 7 arrived back in Konoha and delivered their report to the Sandaime, who was none too pleased with what happened. Not only did the client lie, but somebody had been after Naruto. The list of those who would want Naruto captured alive was pretty short, but large enough that it would be too costing of village resources to send somebody to find the culprits. After the full report was delivered, Sarutobi dismissed Team 7. Just as the team was about to leave, Naruto spoke up. "Actually, Sandaime-sama, I have to speak with you on a certain matter." The tone in Naruto's voice left no room for argument. Hiruzen sighed and sent the rest of Team 7 off, leaving only him and Naruto in the office. It was quiet for a few minutes, before Naruto spoke up. "I am sure you know why I stayed behind." He walked up to the desk and leaned forward. "I may have only been 6 when we made our deal, Sandaime-sama, but I will never forget it." He stood up and walked back. "You broke your word, and intentionally set me up with a mission with that woman. When you swore you would keep her away from me." Hiruzen sighed. "Naruto, please understand that." Naruto smashed his fist into Hiruzen's desk, sending a few cracks through it. "Understand what? That you broke your word to me. That you set me up to be near that whore. That you once again have betrayed my trust. Answer me, Sarutobi." Naruto spoke with such hatred as he shouted at the one whom looked at him like a grandson. Hiruzen lowered his head and sat back, having nothing to counter Naruto's statements. Naruto stood back up before he turned around. "I expect the jutsus we agreed on be brought to my apartment in a week," and walked out of the office. Hiruzen placed his face in his palms, letting a few tears fall from his eyes. Elsewhere, Kushina was sitting back in her chair as the man in front of her delivered his report. his slashed headband glowing in the light. Is that all, Rokusho Aoi? The now named Aoi nodded his head. Yes, Kushina-san, that is everything that I was able to gather while viewing Team 7. Kushina nodded her head. Very good. She reached into a side pouch on the chair and pulled out a folder. Give this to the leader of Omega Corps, and he will make sure you are well cared for. Aoi bowed, revealing the slashed Konoha symbol on his headband. Thank you very much, Kushina-san. He turned and walked out the door, leaving Kushina to think on what Aoi had told her. Oh my Sochi, you are so much stronger than I ever thought possible. Truly you surpassed every expectation. She smiled as she thought of how Aoi described Naruto's battle with Gato and his thugs. Serves the man right for threatening my Sochi. It is a shame though that Zabuza did not complete his end of the bargain. She scowled as she thought of the woman who dared to try and seduce her Sochi, that bitch. If I ever get my hands on her I will her. How dare she try to take my Sochi? She sighed and leaned back in her chair. Zabuza failed to capture my Sochi, and A-rank Nin failed to capture him, a Genin. Who else could I turn to capture him? Hello Kushina. Kushina shot up out of her chair and turned around, only to shiver in fright at who was in front of her. Orochimaru of the Densetsu no Sannin. She stepped back and grabbed her katana. What do you want, Orochimaru? The snake Sannin chuckled as he walked towards her. Now Kushina, is that any way to treat the man who saved your life when your village was destroyed? Kushina sneered in disgust. You were the one who gave Iwa the information that destroyed my home, and my family. I owe you nothing. Orochimaru sighed, and shrugged his shoulders. Fair enough, but I am not here to talk about the past. I am here to make you a deal. Kushina narrowed her eyes. What kind of deal? Orochimaru sat down in a chair. I am willing to give you the one thing you desire more than anything in life, your Sochi. Kushina's eyes widened in shock. How did Orochimaru know? Orochimaru smirked as he saw the look on Kushina's face. I would bring him to you alive and well. I only ask for a few things in return. Kushina swallowed and looked at the Sannin. What kind of things? Orochimaru smiled darkly as he stood up. The village has changed quite a bit since I betrayed it. The defense are different, the protocol is revised, even some of the shinobi have been made aware of some of the glaring weakness. I am sure you know where I am going with this. Kushina snarled at Orochimaru. You want me to give away village secrets to you? You have got to be out of your... Did I mention that I would also be willing to bring your son to you, willing to accept you at last? Kushina stared at the snake Sannin, not believing what he said. Why, you're lying. Orochimaru smiled darkly as he walked towards her. Kushina, how do you think I have managed to gain such great power, being able to recruit armies, and no need to worry about being betrayed? With no answer from Kushina, he continued, I created a special jutsu that makes those who join my armies loyal to me. I can create the same for you if you like. He traced her face with his finger. Just imagine it, being able to hold your son, without having him assault you with vile words, being able to feel him embrace you with love, instead of disdain, to have the family you always wanted at last. Kushina stood there, processing everything Orochimaru had said. It was just too good to be true, but there was no lie in the Sannin's eyes. He could really give her back her baby, and more. But, was it really worth it? To betray the village that had been a second home to her after her own was destroyed. Orochimaru saw the conflict in her eyes. You do not have to decide this moment. Think on it, and I shall return for your answer in a week. He stepped back as he began to melt into the ground. Until then, farewell, Namikaze Kushina. Kushina fell back onto the sofa, a single question running through her mind: what should I do? 1 week later, Naruto sat in his apartment, reading a book, awaiting for the Hokage's Anbu to deliver the scroll containing jutsu. He knew he had basically insulted the man who viewed him as a grandson, but the old fool should have thought of that before he made the mistake of trying to set him up on a mission with Kushina. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a piece of paper. It was the very contract that Sarutobi was now paying for breaking. I, Hiruzen Sarutobi, hereby swear on my oath as a Hokage to do whatever is within my power to keep Uzumaki Naruto as far away from Namikaze Kushina as possible. If I fail to uphold this oath, whether it be by accident, or by my own will, Uzumaki Naruto will receive the following jutsus from the Konoha library. Bunshin Bakuhatsuteki no Jutsu, Explosive Clone Jutsu. Futon, Tei Oshi, Wind Release, Air Pressure. Futon, Kase Kadu, Wind Release, Wind Vortex. Futon, Shippu Shingai, Wind Release, Hurricane Shock. Futon, Hitofuki no Shitsunen, Wind Release, Gust of Oblivion. All of these are jutsu that have only ever been taught to Hokages, and are the only Futon and Bunshin jutsu in the entire elemental nations that officially belongs to Konohagakure no Sato. All other jutsu were acquired from the other great nations. Knock, knock. Naruto was broken from reading the rest of the contract as there was knocking at the door. He stood up and walked towards the door. As he opened it, there was an Anbu holding out a scroll, delivery from Sandaime-sama. Naruto took the scroll and nodded, my thanks to the Sandaime, and closed the door. He then unrolled the scroll. Now, which jutsu shall I do first? He scrolled through the jutsu and the description, before he grinned as he made a decision. Bunshin Bakuhatsuteki it is. Elsewhere, Kushina sat on the sofa, staring at the table in front of her. This week had felt more like an eternity as she thought of Orochimaru's offer. She was being offered a treasure more valuable to her than the greatest gem, more precious than any jutsu, or family secret. In return, she had to betray the very place she thought of as a second home. Kushina, she slowly turned around to see Orochimaru standing before her. Have you made your decision at last? Kushina lowered her head, and nodded. Yes, I have. She looked up at Orochimaru as she handed him a folder. In this folder is every secret I know of Konoha. I don't care what happens to this village, or its inhabitants. Torture them, use them in your experiments. I don't care, just bring me my baby, please. Orochimaru took the folder and smiled, of course Kushina, and faded back into the wall. Kushina looked back at the table, which was covered in every possible picture she could acquire of her Sochi. She grabbed the one that showed her holding him in his arms when he was an infant, and the other was him hugging Iruka as he finally graduated. She could not stand Iruka, he had the one thing she wanted more than anything. Her baby's love, his affection, the love a child would give to a parent, he loved that should be hers. She smiled as she started cutting up the picture of him and Iruka, then cut up a picture of her and Minato when the two of them started dating. She glued the pieces together and smiled. The creation was a picture of her and Naruto in a loving embrace. She touched the whisker marks in the picture and clutched it closely to her chest. Soon my precious babe, soon you and mommy will be together at last. It had been 2 weeks since the wave mission, 2 weeks since Naruto had been given the scroll by the Sandaime, and 2 weeks since he had tried to learn the first Futon Jutsu. And he still could not get past step 1. He had managed to learn the Bunshin Bakuhatsuteki on the first day, albeit, the clones were far more explosive than what was explained. He had then gotten to work on what he assumed was the easiest jutsu. Futon, Hitofuki no Shintention. It was a shitload harder than he originally thought, and a shitload more painful. The jutsu basically required that he expand his lungs, allowing him to in more air, and then fire it out with a pressurized shell of chakra. He already has gone to the hospital to get his ribs realigned and his lungs pumped out, as it was a quarter filled with his own blood. He had gone at least 7 times, and would likely be going an 8th time if he did not figure out where he was going wrong. Naruto sighed and laid back. Damn, what the am I doing wrong? I have channeled wind-natured chakra through my lungs, coated them with a pressurized shell of chakra. I have done everything it said in the description, so why the can't I do it? Naruto shouted as he grabbed the scroll and began to read, trying to find if he had missed anything. Grrrn, he looked towards his stomach and sighed. Performing a single hand seal, he created a dozen clones. Go get me something to eat. The clones saluted as they ran off towards the village. Half an hour later, Naruto was standing with his legs spread out. All right, inhale as the wind chakra is pulled into the lungs, coat the chakra with a pressurized shell, and... Naruto suddenly stopped as things started to flash across his eyes. He saw Ichiraku's ramen and had a conversation with Ayami before he left after he received his order of miso and shrimp ramen. He was halfway past the clan district when he was tackled to the ground by a very pissed-off Inuzuka Kiba, and then everything stopped. Naruto stood there for a few moments, and had only one thought: what the just happened? He looked up in the sky and saw that the sun was beginning to set. Damn, well, I guess I can ask Kakashi-sensei tomorrow. He turned around and sighed. I wish there was an easier way for me to do this damn jutsu, but it's not like I can create 100 cage bunshin and have them go over every chakra control exercise in the book, and have it transferred to me. He suddenly stopped, the flashes, the cloud of smoke. Naruto slapped himself in the face as he grumbled, I am such an idiot. Next day, Naruto stood in the training grounds, panting in exhaustion as he fell to his knees. His theory was correct: whatever chakra exercises the age bunshin learned, was transferred to him. He had created 100 cage bunshin the night before and had them go over the tree climbing exercise. By the end of the night, he was so exhausted from recreating cage bunshin that he doubted he would be able to do anything in training. But he took in a deep breath and crossed his fingers. This was the moment of truth, cage bunshin no jutsu. In an instant, a cloud of smoke appeared in front of Naruto, and inside it, a single cage bunshin. Just the amount Naruto wanted. He grinned as he thought to himself, and the Hyugas say you can't change. 2 weeks later, Naruto was sitting on the edge of the bridge as he and his team awaited Kakashi's arrival. Sasuke and Sakura were standing off to the side. Sakura was looking at Naruto with worry, and Sasuke was glaring at Naruto's back. The last Uchiha sneered in disgust as he thought, that worthless bastard, he still ars his mother, and he treats her as if she is worth less than shit. He uncrossed his arms and walked over to Naruto. I am going to get answers from him, whether Kakashi-sensei approves or not. Naruto looked at the river flowing beneath him as he flipped a kunai in the air and caught it by the hilt before it went towards the river below him. He had already lost 3 kunai, but he was definitely improving on his reaction time. Suddenly he was yanked off of the bridge edge and turned around, forced to look at a pissed-off Uchiha. Dobe, you have got a shitload of questions to answer, and you will answer them. Naruto narrowed his eyes at Sasuke. What would you possibly want to know from me? Sasuke snarled as he tightened the grip he had on the front of Naruto's shirt. What the hell is your problem? Your own mother was on her hands and knees, crack. Sasuke had to let go as Naruto punched him square in the face, breaking his nose. Naruto snarled and grabbed the front of Sasuke's shirt. Mention that whore around me one more time, I dare you. Naruto adjusted his grip so it was around Sasuke's throat. Sakura ran over and grabbed Naruto's wrist. Naruto, please stop. He didn't mean, OOPH. She was shoved out of the way and fell to the ground as Naruto continued strangling Sasuke. Naruto continued squeezing Sasuke's throat until the Uchiha's eyes began to roll to the back of his head. He then shoved Sasuke to the ground and whispered in his ear, "If you ever touch me again, then I will make sure that the Uchiha clan dies with you." Sasuke watched as Naruto walked away, and hissed underneath his breath, "This isn't over, Uzumaki, not by a long shot." Late that night, Naruto was walking home as he read a piece of paper. Kakashi had nominated him and his teammates for the Chunin exams. He had a week to make a final decision as to whether or not he was going to take part in them. Personally, he was definitely going to take part in the exams. The real question, however, was whether or not his teammates were, and what would happen if they did. Sure, there was the possibility that if he decided not to take part, they could just put in a replacement teammate so his team could take the exams, but what if they were disqualified because he didn't want to go? So many questions, with so many possibilities, it was mind-numbing. Naruto turned a corner and was about to head to his apartment. "Hello Naruto-kun," when he heard a dark voice behind him. Before all he saw was black. Time skip, 2 days. Naruto's eyes fluttered open as he looked at the white ceiling above him, covered in cracks and jagged marks. He was in his apartment, but how the hell did he get there? The last thing he remembered was that he was walking down the street towards his home, and then, nothing. Pushing himself up, he shook his head as he wiped the sleep from his eyes. He stood up and headed to the bathroom, hoping to relieve himself before he headed off to team meetings. He walked up to the toilet and looked up, holy shit. Before he jumped back, tearing the door off of its hinges. He stood back up and walked back over to the toilet, which had a mirror above it, showing his face, his real face. Years wearing that genjutsu had made Naruto forget what his actual face looked like, but then again, who would want to see their face adorned with scars? He stepped back and looked at his body. The genjutsu had fallen. But how? Unless his chakra control had been shot to absolute hell, there was no way his genjutsu should have fallen. He focused his chakra and tried to get the genjutsu up, only for it to fail over and over again. Shit, I can't head to team training without my genjutsu, not with all these scars. He walked into his room and looked through his closet. Damn, I never thought I would have to use this. He pulled out a long cloak that would easily cover his entire body. He smirked and threw it over himself, covering his body, including the 3 black swirl marks surrounding a single kanji, the kanji for servant. Elsewhere, Kushina looked at Orochimaru, who was standing before her. "Did you apply the seal?" Orochimaru smirked at Kushina. "Of course I did, why would I not do such? After all, we did have a deal. I may be an S-rank missing nin, but I do keep my promises." Kushina sighed, then looked up at Orochimaru with fierce determination. "Do it." He smiled as he bared his teeth, his fangs elongating as a red venom dripped from the tips. "As you wish, Kushina-chan." His head shot forward, and his fangs buried themselves into Kushina's neck. Aggh. She screamed in pain as Orochimaru bit into her neck, allowing the crimson venom to flow through her veins. She felt as if her body was on fire as Orochimaru ripped his fangs out of her neck. The snake Sanin chuckled as he turned away. Our deal is completed. He phased through the walls as Kushina fell to her knees screaming in pain. She clutched her shoulder as she dug her nails into her flesh. Her eyes snapped open as she began to see images before her. Flashback. Naruto was sitting on his knees as he scrubbed the floor of a large hallway. The hall was so big, no less than 10 maids would ever be able to properly clean it. But Naruto was being forced to clean every inch of the hallway, by his own mother. Naruto had a look of utter defeat on his face, as if he had nothing to live for. Naruto, get Yurin here now. Naruto flinched as he heard his mother's voice. I said now. Naruto quickly ran over to the direction of his mother's voice, fearing what would happen if he didn't. As he entered the room, he saw his mother standing before him, a look of anger on her face. He lowered his head as he shivered in fear. Why yes, Krs-sama. Kushina grabbed Naruto by his hair and hoisted him up, eliciting a yelp of pain from him. Do you see this room? She dropped Naruto and pointed at the room. I told you to clean this room until it was spotless today. So why the hell is it still dirty? Naruto whimpered as he shied away in fear. Krs-sama, why you told me to see clean the hall W when you got home, ID didn't have TT Tim me to F finish. Kushina sneered and backhanded Naruto. How dare you make such lousy excuses? She turned and left the room. No supper for you tonight. She slammed the door behind her as the 3-year-old was left in the room. End flashback. Kushina fell onto her side, tears streaming down her face as more and more memories passed across her eyes. I am so sorry, my Sochi. I wasn't in the right state of mind. Please forgive me. Kushina's eyes scrunched shut as she was forced to view another memory. Flashback. Naruto was running towards the Namika's compound, several bags of groceries in hand. His mother had sent him to the store to grab some food. It was a hassle, especially since he had to use his own money, and was always overcharged for goods. He entered the clan district and saw the Namika's compound in the distance. He sighed in relief. Just a little bit further and, OOPH. He was tripped and fell over, dropping the groceries as he fell. He looked up to see the hateful eyes of several members of various clans. Hey, it's the demon. Get him. Naruto shot up and grabbed the bags as he tried to outrun the growing mob behind him. He saw the gates. He grabbed the gates and pulled on them, to find they were locked. He panicked and began to yank on the gates as he shouted, shit, shit, shit. He looked up at a window, and saw his mother just standing there, watching as he tried to open the gates. He shouted as he grabbed the bars, Kar-sama. Please, open the gates. Kushina merely grabbed a bottle of sake and guzzled it down, walking away from the window. Naruto screamed as the mob finally reached him. Kar-sama. End flashback. Kushina dug her nails so deeply into her flesh that if she were to pull back, she would tear her own skin off. She had often sent Naruto out to grab groceries, and she would sit at home, drinking away her sorrows. Her eyes snapped back open, as the last memory came before her. The night she drove her son away. Flashback. Naruto was sitting in his room. Well, it was more like a cellar closet. The floors were hard, cold, and uncomfortable, and the only thing he had to keep himself warm was the clothes on his back, which were too small for him, and moth-eaten. He looked at the ceiling and cried, H happy B birthday, Tita M me, H happy B birthday, T2, me. He curled his feet into himself as he sobbed. Slam. The door to his closet was thrown open and he was dragged out by his hair. He was thrown onto the ground as the air was knocked out of him. Standing above him, Kushina was stumbling over herself, the telltale smell of sake rolling off of her. Why you, demon? She kicked Naruto in the stomach as she grabbed a stake from the wall. How dare you sing when you'd my husband? She grabbed Naruto's hair and sneered, you filthy beast. She stabbed the stake into Naruto's chest, making the young blonde scream in agony. Kushina slapped him as she finished carving Naruto's chest up. I am ashamed to have birthed you. She stepped on his hand and began to apply even more pressure. The only reason you live here is so you can work off your redemption foring my husband and child. Kushina spat in Naruto's face as she brought her foot back to kick him again. Be glad I have a kind enough heart to let you live under my roof. Just as Kushina was about to kick Naruto, he jumped out of the way and ran up the stairs. Before he plowed out the door, he turned around and glared at Kushina. Fine. You don't want me here. Well, good. Because I am never coming back to this hellhole. He slammed open the door and ran out of the house. The last thing Kushina saw before he ran away was the look on Naruto's face, betrayal, sadness, hatred, for her.